Monday, the 9th December 2024. And we thank God for this opportunity. This is In Truth and in Spirit, World of Worship Fellowship. Every Monday we have a fellowship of questions and responses. Those questions range around from relationships, marriage, business, lifestyle, cultures, theology, religion, philosophy. We basically ask almost anything apart from politics. We exclude politics for Monday, and then we discuss the same or politics on Thursday. So it is good to have you, those who are attending on this Zoom call, and those listening in from wherever you're listening. These sessions are always recorded and posted on our YouTube channel, which is also iTiS, World of Worship Fellowship, or iTiS Wow Fellowship. You can always go there and find that YouTube channel. There's quite a number of things that you need to go and watch, listen to, and then give us feedback. Please subscribe to that YouTube channel and ask the questions or give us feedback, because we always want to learn and learn a few things. So today is Monday. In case you have a question around the same, you can send it to the moderator, Mr. Jethro Samba, or to myself, Krista Isaiah, all right? And then we can handle those questions. We can handle those questions. We don't claim to have all the answers. We only provoke your thinking with our thoughts, and then we let the revelation of God do the rest to make sure that we understand more, whatever. So today we are going to start with the question that was not answered or responded to the last time we were here. And it was a question from one of our own, that is Mr. Francis Kabinuli. And the question said, is personal legacy important? Part A, how much resources should we contribute towards our personal legacy? Part B, how much should we leave behind for our dependents? So that is the question that we have today. Is personal legacy important? If it is, how much resources should we contribute towards our personal legacy? How much should we leave behind for our dependents? That's the question that we have, and we would like to start with. So who wants to attempt Francis' question about legacy? What are your thoughts about legacy? How do you understand the term legacy and, etc.? Any person wants to give a shot to the question? Then we talk legacy. We need to talk legacy. Any person, any view? I'll be calling you out. Musazi, you're welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Good. All right. Peter, are you still on the way? You haven't reached. All right.
Chair, is somebody attempting, or I give it a try?
Yeah, please shoot.
Yes, my answer is yes. It is important to have a legacy, but it shouldn't become a religion. By religion, I mean that when one is obsessed with leaving a legacy rather than living his life. A legacy helps a lot in probably setting a standard upon which others can learn to make this world better. It's one of the reasons we keep quoting Martin Luther, Churchill, Abraham Lincoln, Nelson Mandela, Mwalimu Julius Nyerere. It's the legacy. A legacy, I think, in my opinion, is simply a life well lived. That when somebody is again obsessed with wanting to leave a legacy might destroy it or even die early. How much money should you leave? There is no amount of money. What you are able to. The Bible says, I think in Proverbs 13:22, a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. It's good to work hard and probably leave something behind for your family to cling on. Because again, when you consume whatever you've earned, your children might become lumpens if they have nothing to fall back to. So yes, it is important to leave a legacy behind, but it should not be what controls your thinking, especially when men click 50, 55, they start thinking of their death, and now they stop living. Say a legacy simply means live a good life, a life that your children might, or even the people in the community might want to quote at one time in a point. And that does not mean that, again, you have to be wholly good, because even Amin, we have something we learned from Amin, we have something we learned from Obote. Ideally, when you are an influencer in one or the other, you might be bad but good. Even our own President Seven has a lot. When this man finally crosses to the land of his ancestors, we are going to quote him a lot. There are good things we are going to quote about him. Of course, the bad ones as well. So, Chair, I think that's what I want to say. It's very good. It's good to have a legacy behind, but it shouldn't dominate our thinking. Thank you.
All right. All right. Thank you very much. You have been useful to me. I don't know how much to Francis, the one of the question, but for me, you have actually edified me. Any other person? Yes, Francis? Francis, I can't hear you in case you are saying anything at all.
Brother Mukwan been very useful to me also, and as other people on the forum are attempting this question. When I saw the Mike Tyson interview with that little girl, I was taken aback because at one point I was a victim of the legacy thing, because I've seen many people have been victims too, because legacy is more to do with other parties outside yourself, trying to do something for others which will outlive you. Try to do something for society, for your children, for your relatives, for your dependents, for general society, trying to leave a name behind while helping these people. So when I was, I remember when I was 30, when I made 30, I tried to do several things which could which would make the life for those people who are depending on me important. I mean, life comfortable if I happen to go early. And I also tried to do things, invest in things which would keep the Rugolovi name alive when I'm gone. Not necessarily helping people, because legacy is sometimes leaving a name behind. So I tried to do several things, and I realized 10 years after, when I was making.
Again, I've lost you. Again, I've lost you.
40.
And I hope
I'd sacrificed a lot in trying to make sure that
Francis,
yes, please.
we lost you at the point when you said that when I was making. So start from that point. Again, we've lost you.
Sorry, there's someone who was trying to make a call on my phone, but I'll stop the call. So I tried to make, I had spent lots of resources in trying to make sure that so many people, that other people, my legacy, my name lives on, that other people whom I'm looking after in case I'm gone, these people, they live a good life and they are well provided for, that my name is well protected even when I'm gone. And this had come at my own cost at living my life. So this, as you are attempting this question, it will come in handy in helping me trying to reshape my thinking about legacy and how much input I should put in legacy vis-a-vis living my life to the fullest.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, Musazi, do you have something to say about this legacy thing? I can't hear
Well,
you,
I've
Musazi.
just joined you listening before I joined, and I would like to continue listening before I pitch in with an opinion.
Okay. That's helpful. Peter, are you there? Sarubida, are you there? Okay. Maybe you want to say something about legacy? Any thoughts? Can you guys hear me? Just to make sure I'm not alone here. Damn. Okay.
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, sure. Someone can hear me. Oh, good, great. Now that we have people here who are silent, or either by choice or not, we don't know what is happening because we haven't asked them. First of all, I think Dr. Mukwana had already set us off, but I need us to think about Francis' question in this area as well. Let's start from the Mike Tyson's perspective, because Mike Tyson, that international boxing champion, best of all time, according to me, in that game, if it is a game, or in that fight, according to Mike Tyson, the idea to focus on leaving a legacy is a disease of selfishness. Now, if you watch that short clip where he was being interviewed by that young girl, I am deducing. I am not actually saying verbatim what he said, but I'm trying to deduce. I'm trying to communicate the sense that I made out of what he said. According to Mike Tyson, the idea of legacy is a disease of human selfishness. Because Mike asks, if you are dead and when you are dead, why do you want to be remembered? Because Tyson argues that you are dead, you are gone. Why do you want to be remembered? Why? Because normally legacy is about how we want to be remembered. And I can even ask all of you here, how would you want to be remembered? That is part A. I mean, that is part B. But part A, why would you even want to be remembered? Musaz, now you want to say something. Because I just wanted to break this whole thing down so that you guys can come in. Musaz, your hand is up. It would be bad manners for me to continue with your hand up.
No problem. I can wait. When you finish, I will say what I want to say.
Sure, don't worry. No, you can put it down then. I'll let you in. So why would we want to be remembered? Oh, actually, would you want to be remembered after you are dead? Would you want to be remembered? Then why are you in church? Is legacy a way of being in church, of you being remembered? Is being remembered another way of living on even after you have died? I am breaking down for you this whole idea of legacy so that we get to understand this whole thing. We remember Mahatma Gandhi, how he fought the Britons in India. We remember Nelson Mandela and his group, how they fought the white Zulus or the white South Africans, and those whites who are not even South Africans. We remember. We remember all those heroes. But did they do whatever they did to be remembered? When they did whatever they did, were they creating their legacy? When that black woman sat in that bus in protest, what was in her head? Was it the legacy in there? In her head? Or she was just doing the right thing? You know, why would someone sit down and be bothered with how people will remember him? Does it matter? Yes. Why? No. Why? So that is the first part of the legacy. Now, the examples that we gave above of the people who had good legacy, these were not wealthy people. I don't know how much money Mandela left for his family and his children. I don't know. I don't know how much money Gandhi left for his family and his children. Given his lifestyle, I can guess not so much. I don't know how much money Rosa Parks, left. So basically, money was not part of. But we are at a stage where money is part of legacy and legacy issues. And this is why some of us are working so hard. You're working so hard so that in case, because for those of you who are married, you know that women keep reminding you that you should build a house because you might die anytime and leave her and her children in rentals. So men work very hard so that they can leave a house legacy behind after they are dead. So that house becomes a legacy, that plot of land. In the African setting, when you die without a piece of land or without a house, it is declared that you have left the relatives in space, and therefore you have left no legacy. Again, in the African culture, when you die without a child, We even have rituals that we perform when you die without a child, where it,
A boy in that matter.
yes, a boy, especially a man. You see, when we're talking about legacy, we are discussing 90% men. From my mother's side, when you die without a child and you are an adult, they put a piece of charcoal in your butt. They bury you with that piece of charcoal. You see, just to that's your legacy. So in Africa, children are a legacy. Internationally, wealth is a legacy. Again, internationally, the battles that you have fought against social injustices, that also could turn out to be a legacy. So we are trying to expand the question of Brother Francis. So and this expansion, we hope that Brother Francis will appreciate our angle. So the questions of Francis still remain after I've given you that that broad perspective where we all need to think within. Is personal legacy important? Then how much resources should we contribute towards our personal legacy? How much should we leave behind for our dependents? And I think the last question was ably answered by Dr. Mukwana when he said, but that while you think about how much you should leave behind for your dependents, you should not sacrifice your living and your happiness because you want to live that much. So you can live on and leave something. And leave something still. So Musaz, that's why you come in, because you earlier on you wanted to chip in. And all of you, the rest, you can come in, and then we start on this matter.
What I wanted to say is really simple, and it's in response to something you said about why should somebody work to leave a legacy behind. But that was in reference to what Michael Tyson said in an interview. If you are dead, you are dead. You are not going to come back and see what people, to hear what people are saying about you. You will never be here again. But when I was looking at the dictionary definition of legacy, I consulted the Oxford Advanced Learners Dictionary, and I saw the first definition is money or property that is given to you by somebody when they die. It is a gift by will. So you write a will and you say so and so will be entitled to this when I am gone. And the second definition, which I think is what we are focusing on mostly, is a situation that exists now because of events, actions, etc. that took place in the past. Now, you may not actually be keen on creating a legacy. You just want to live your life. But some people who've been impressed by what you've done decide to kind of build a legacy for you. For example, when we say that so and so was an active anti-bullying campaigner, and after he died, his family set up a charity to ensure that his legacy lives on. You can see that you have nothing to do with that. I mean, your personal involvement is not leading to the creation of that legacy. Some other people are doing that for you. So what am I driving at? If Michael Mike Tyson says, I'm going to die, I don't need any legacy. I think it does not necessarily follow that everybody deliberately works to have a legacy. People that have taken interest in the work that you've been doing, have been following you. Maybe there is a campaign you spearheaded there, and you've been the leading light of the campaign. They say, well, we will do this. She's gone, he's gone, but we are going to do this to ensure that his or her legacy lives on. We had a Kenyan woman called Martha, the environmentalist, I forget her name, she won a Nobel Prize. But I think there are many things that have been done to ensure that her legacy lives on. She's not here. She died many years ago. I think now it's more than maybe 10 years ago. But her legacy lives on. That is what I wanted to say.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Musazi. Gospel Ninja, you're welcome. Brenda, okay, thank you. Brenda Nancha, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Great, you did well. Nancha, can you do the same? We need to know whether okay, fine. Because we don't want to deal with robots here. We want to deal with human beings. Asimu, my brother, are you there? Are you right? Paid? Are you there? Pedson? You're not there.
I'm here.
Okay. For those of you who have just joined, we are talking about legacy. And Musaza has given us a dictionary meaning of legacy. A legacy is a gift that you leave behind for your people or for whoever you choose. But we had expanded that legacy whole thing and taken it into the philosophical approach also. The gift of freedom, you can, Martin Luther gave the blacks that freedom. People like Martin Luther, Rosa Parks, Malcolm X, okay, did that. Nelson Mandela did the same to the South Africans. Mahatma Gandhi did that to the Indians. We are looking at the two aspects of legacy. We have we have also added that aspect of the good that you do and the goods that you leave. So we are looking at legacy as the good that someone does and the goods that someone leaves behind. And we're asking ourselves, is that important? How is it important? Why is it important? In the aspect of goods, how much should you leave behind? Dr. Mukwana, you guys have come late, but he gave us a very good submission. And he warned us that while you are looking at leaving behind so much goods, please do not cheat yourself. Try to live happily, and live. Don't focus on leaving so many things, and yet you've been living a miserable life. Bob, you've just switched on your microphone. You want to say something?
Yes. Sorry, thanks. I missed that submission, but yeah, I think I wanted to kind of give the same view that many people think of legacy as leaving riches behind. But I think probably the legacy that is more meaningful is the legacy of influence you leave behind to send positive vibes, positive feedback or results to the world, making it better than you left it. If you leave a lot of riches to your family, that is all. I mean, it's all with your family. They may even expand the same riches and also leave their kids and their grandkids the same riches, but this is only benefiting to them as a family. But what is important is if that legacy is to be appreciated by other people, is if they are benefiting from such. If it's helping bring better services to people, then that is legacy you leave behind. We know the richest people, the Bill and Melinda Gates. We know the legacy they left. I mean, the donations they're giving to the developing countries, the innovations, the likes of Elon Musk are leaving behind. Yes, they are rich, but they are changing the world. Okay, they are leaving the world, I would say, better than the way they found it. For me, that is legacy. When you look at guys like Thomas Sankara, you know, these are guys who lived their own. I mean, I may not go into the details of them, but they left spheres of influence that are sending waves to other young people to say, oh, we want to be like that. The Traolis of this world that are taking over, much as they're taking over also by gunning down their other leaders or taking over by force, but they want things changed for their country. You gave an example of Rosa Parks. She probably died poor, but we still remember that action she took. I don't think Martin Rosa King, even the grandkids. One time I was riding an Uber here, and as I struck a conversation with the lady who was driving, it turned out she's a grand whatever of Martin Luther King, and she was proud of that. But she was driving an Uber, you know. So the legacy we leave behind should be in terms of what have we done to influence things in a better way, okay, than we found it. I mean, we've heard of the Escobars, we've heard of, you know, now if you think of the good side, think of the bad side. Those people also left some kind of name or popularity, but we do not value it much. It gives us negative vibes, whatever we think about it, you know. So, and people find a way of clinging to the small crumbs of someone's big name. Like, I mean, here, a person like Idi Amin is more popular even than Seven. but that's not like, I mean, he left behind a popular name, okay? And it's only Ugandans who can sit down and say, okay, what did this guy actually do for us? And they can kind of try to scrutinize and find the crumbs to cling on the good he did, and try to forget the bad things he did of sending away of, you know, people, and, you know, the perpetrated killings and all that. So for me, I think if we want to leave behind legacy, is not about riches, but what positive influence do we leave behind, such that it turns this world into a much better place. Is it about love or is it about division? For me, that's what I think.
Okay. Professor Servide, do you have an issue with what Bob was saying? Because you switched on your microphone.
I would just like to add to what Mr. Mianjas just submitted. Probably quite a different one. And my take on legacy is that legacy is not a question of how much. Legacy, I think, is a question of what. What comprises your legacy? And in my perspective, in my opinion, I think legacy, besides the gift or the gifts, I would like also to add that legacy is the copy of who you are that you leave behind and to whom you leave it to. And I think you can only have a copy of who you are if you arrive at your purpose, or you have found your purpose. Mr. Museveni, Mr. Mutesa, Mr. Obote, and the like, probably they discover their purpose. Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther, and then the champion we have, we who believe in God, the Creator, Christ Jesus, who left a legacy, the legacy of himself. And I think what I learned from Christ is that he first, every time you hear him speak in the Gospels, he has a purpose. I have come that blah, 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 blah. I have come for the Son of Man came to, one time Pastor White has said over and over again that he has a bone to pick with this God who never trains those he brings here. And I want to borrow from that until we have realized a purpose. One time, Mr. Museveni said that he has lived his purpose. He's domineering or dominating. So it is that purpose that you can live. And that purpose is part of your identity, is a copy of who you are. So the how much, I don't think the how much might matter, but the who of you lift your children, the who of you that you lift your country, the who of you that you lift your church, the who of you that you lift your friends, the who of you that you lift your community. Thank you.
You're welcome. Good. Gospel Ninja, are you now following what we are talking about?
I am following. I am. Thank you very much.
Sure. Anytime you get a
It's a
thought,
good conversation.
anytime you get a thought, just chip in. Brenda, are you following what we are saying? I normally want people on the call to be following. I am sure about AB because we started with AB, but Brenda, are you there? Are you following? Okay, we can't hear from her. That's right. Brilliant sign that she's going to be. Now, yes, Gospel.
Well, my thoughts are not any different, apart from the fact that we're speaking of legacy from, obviously, from a positive side of things. And I was thinking, what is the opposite of that? What happens when, do you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Take us through the opposite part of that.
Now I'm looking at the negative side of things. Because that's the truth. The reason why we are even discussing it is because it's a possibility. Obviously, there is a possibility of things going the other side, and in fact, that's why we are naming. We can name few people in the whole world of billions of people through history. There are specific people that we name because we recognize, or their quote unquote legacy is on the pedestal. It's in the public eye, and there are those whose legacy will never get the attention of the public eye, and yet indeed it exists. I recently read an article by Gawaya Tegule. Some of you may have read it, but his young brother invited him to be part of their housewarming in Jinja, and he went to be part of it because he grew up in Jinja, so he went there, and they were having this conversation about how they got the house, and the wife was describing how it came down, but they had bought this house on the legacy of their father, and I think that's the title he tries to give it. But they had actually bought that house on the legacy of their father. The father was a teacher, and he had taught many young people through his years, now adults. And the owner of the property that they had bought was a mother to some of the young people that this father had taught. And with the wonderful work he had done, when the property seller, the proprietor, found out that this guy was a Gawaya. He asked, "Are you a son to the Gawaya I know, the former head teacher of this school?" And he said, "Yes, I am." And definitely, he said many things, which definitely sparked off a lot of memories for the lady. And she told the broker, "This house is off the market. It's gone." She told the guy, "You can pay on your terms. Your father fathered my kids while they were in school with him. He taught them many things that I may not have taught them. They came out as good guys," and many others. So the story goes down that while the father was not present in the conversation, on his legacy, this young man bought the property at a very cheaper price than the brokers were telling him, and at a convenient uh, payment schedule. Now, it's another thing on the flip side. If had the father, I'm on the phone. I can't talk. I'm on phone. I can't talk. I'm sorry. Sorry. I met my kids and they want to talk to me. Anyway, so yeah, I'm going home. I stopped to buy pancakes, but this is a conversation that I love. It bothers me a lot because the Bible says you can leave your kids wealth, but a good name is hard to come by. It's more important than wealth. And so on the flip side, had this man mistreated, you know those head teachers, you know those people who mistreat, and Gawaya argues and says, someday you're going 6 feet under, and we will look below, we will look on top of the soil where you're buried. But as you're down there under, does your voice still and command favor for your kids and your society? Because we don't only have kids, we belong to tribes and clans. I belong to a family, and my dad used to be an LC1 chairman, and you're a disciplinarian. And so when they look at me, they say, "Ene, oye dalu yali jawa. Tata wenda yali akuba kiboko, nababbi benyini nga bakuba." But then I turned out to change, somehow, of course, by God's grace. So there's a flip side. People are bad. People do bad things. And I think, to be honest, some of the hatred that people have towards Mohozi is because of his dad. And not that his dad has done very bad things, but some people see the bad things more than they see the good things. And I don't know, there could be NRM or Mohozi people on the call, but I've just used an example. I have nothing against Mohozi personally. I'm just saying that you notice that there are people who hate Museveni and they will never love Mohozi, period. For them, that's a bad legacy, and hence the whole family is down. You get? So that's what I'm saying. There's another side to this discussion, and I don't know where, because majority of the people tend to fall, especially in the public eye, because we are looking at legacy probably from the public eye. But then there are people who, like Gawaya, Mr. Gawaya, whom you hardly hear of until someone records a story of that nature, and you realize even those that never make it in the public eye, their legacy counts. I don't know if I need to add anything there. I'm arriving home. I think we can talk a little more. I'm listening in, and I'll contribute accordingly.
Sure. First hug everyone at home and then leave that legacy. Thank you, Gospel Ninja.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Sure. Well, now Francis Kabinuli, Mr. Kabinuli, are you there?
I'm here, Sevo.
You are the judge to tell us how useful we are so far.
You've been very useful, and I just want to lay a few pointers.
Yes.
When I started wondering about, when I was submitting the question, I also did some research. I found out that the word legacy means what someone leaves behind or bequeaths.
Yes.
And what we leave behind can be material, can be non-material, it can be
social,
and it can be social, and it can be intentional or unintentional. Actually, many people's legacies are unintentional. They don't intend to leave that, but anyway, they leave it through what they do through life.
Yes.
So whether you intend to or not, you will leave a particular legacy, whether it's negative, positive, or a mixture of the two. And then legacy, it can be personal. There are types of legacy. Legacy starts from personal legacy. There is family legacy. There is communal legacy, there is national legacy, and different individuals intend to leave particular types of legacy. But most of us common people, our legacy mainly is a family legacy. What we plan, what's intentional? Our intentional legacies are family. That's why even the questions I asked were mainly to do with family legacy. Our intentional legacies, actually, my question was mainly to do with what's intentional.
Yes.
Our intentional legacies, our intentional things we want to leave behind are usually family. And if they extend to community, they are to do with church or immediate community. They are family, then there is a church or immediate community. So where we want to leave behind, what we want to leave behind is connected to those people. And many questions, my questions have been answered in those aspects. Maybe the latter part of the question is where I may need more help, because I asked, how much should we go? Should we
Leave.
sacrifice in order to live? What should we leave? Because the immediate aspects of family legacy are our benefactors, are people whom we've been looking after. Actually, that personal legacy which goes to family is the immediate beneficiaries of that are our benefactors.
Francis,
So how much should we work
Francis.
towards that? Yeah.
Bob wants to come in before you leave. Bob, your hand is up before Francis leaves.
Yeah, before Francis leaves, I know I just wanted to really say, and I'm combining it with what Mr. Seluvide submitted. Just thoughts that came to my mind, that even what Francis was submitting is that, what I mean, as an individual, what do you want to be remembered for? For me, if we can answer that question, it can help us, because there are some people who don't stand for anything. Okay, like they are moved by winds left, right, and center. Like they do not stand for anything. So when we look at people who left legacy, put legacy behind, a good name behind, these are people who stood for something and they never wavered. And any slight wavering or as someone talked about, a name is a building a name, and then it can take a few seconds to put that name down. Like when I look at Tyson, we talked about Tyson earlier. All I remember about him is biting this other guy. I know he was a good fighter, but in the end, he really started. He was biting his opponent, and I forgot about all the victories he had in the past. For me, when you talk about Tyson and Muhammad Ali, I didn't watch much of Muhammad Ali fight, but I get more positive vibes from Muhammad Ali's name than Tyson's name. Okay, so a legacy is something that a name you can build, but again, you can also spoil it in seconds. So what do we want to be remembered for? What do we stand for? And as Selvide said, what is your kind of what is your calling? What have you decided to live for in this world? And if you want to live, we know Museveni really brought peace and all these things, but then you look at what is happening currently. People will completely forget about the songs he was singing about in the early 90s of, we are removing these guys, I'm bringing peace, I'm removing these bad guys, to him becoming a pharaoh and people wanting to celebrate his death even before he dies. So how did we shift? How does someone shift from building a very good legacy, transforming Uganda into a country of liberating it from dictators and killers, to people wanting they can't wait for you to die. So this is what I want. Like, let us stand for something and let us really stick to that, and that we know that any wavering will lead to bad examples and people forgetting all about what we've contributed.
Okay, Ninja, your hand is up, and then I'll have Pedson.
Yes, it is up, and very good point raised there. For the price, I think the question is about the price of legacy. Obviously, life, we usually play with life, but consistency. And I couldn't help but think about one of my mentors. And former employer. Some of you may know about a guy called Ravi Zacharias. Some of you may not, but popular Christian apologist that traversed the world, impacted millions of people, wrote very, very compelling books. I mean, as far as the Christian faith is concerned, trained many people. I don't think I'd met as many people as he that had a good grasp of the Christian faith and defended it with life. And also, honestly, when I was around him, I saw humility. I saw how he served people. I saw how he loved people. I saw how he welcomed people who were like nothing. I mean, who was I? I was a missionary in Karamoja, and then here I was, rubbing shoulders with him. And now, at the time of his death, he had a huge legacy to leave, only for a scandal to take it down. A scandal that would lead into investigations, non-conclusive per se, but pointing to sexual misconduct and a number of other things. Of course, it was the word of those alive against the word of a dead man, or the silence of a dead man and then his family. But then, up to today, if you look up apologetics material, you will notice that whether it's YouTube or anywhere, it's just the diehards and the radicals that are still keeping his material. Most people took it down. His books were taken down. You cannot easily buy a Ravi Zacharias book from, especially certain Christian outlets. It's just the neutrals.
That was harsh.
Pardon?
That was harsh.
Oh no, cancel culture is a real thing, bro. It's a real thing. Cancel culture is a real thing. Because I worked with him, it's taken me years to get back to the public square. And I know that people in different countries, like our entity in South Africa, couldn't pick up. They're different. In countries like in the UK, you can't use the name Ravi in a positive way today. It's 3 years down the road, coming to 4 years. You can't use Ravi's name right now because of how they view him, especially looking to women who claim to have been abused. Obviously, no evidence per se, but whatever they said and the investigations that revealed, his legacy was shattered. It's going to take almost forever to ever see him the way we saw him. Did he teach legit stuff? Of course he did. His books, when you pick them to read, obviously they're very sound and biblical and they're equipping. But today, pastors who are recommending his books and inviting speakers from his team don't. In the US, the ministry tried to pick up again and it was cancelled, like literally, and they couldn't. So it's a big thing. Consistency is a big thing. Those of you that read about Solomon in the Bible, the wisest and one of the greatest kings of Israel, but his 1,000 wives took him down. And his wisdom is unforgotten. And the fact that Israel never went to war while he was king is not forgotten. But then Israel was divided and it would never be a one kingdom, the same one kingdom that it was before him. So it's consistency, consistency is very key. And I struggle with that, and I trust it's a normal human struggle, but we take it to the Lord, the Spirit who is more consistent, who is very consistent. That's what I wanted to say.
Okay, thank you very much. Pedson, this is the time that you come in. Brenda, don't worry, your hand is up.
Hello?
Yes, Ped.
Yes.
Ninja, lower your hand.
I'm lowered my hand and I'm
Thank you.
Hey, okay. Now, mine is I think that as human beings, we live in a dynamic environment, and we're always on the move, and new things are always coming. So the legacy that we are discussing is something that is actually short-lived, and even if it is 100 years, 200 years old, but it is that short-lived, and that's why, as a human being, I think even if you're called for your purpose, yes, you can do your part that God called you to do, and even if what you do doesn't last for a long time, you've done your part and you've moved. It doesn't matter how long
yourself.
Sorry?
Don't stress
Eh,
yourself. Do what you can
Yes,
do.
it doesn't. Yes, it doesn't matter how long it lasts because you see, here we are going to say that the people that have had their legacies live for maybe 100 years. It's what we call a legacy. But even someone who has had a legacy live for 10 years or even 1 year is also enough. Me, I'm going to give an example of Julius Nyerere. Now, Julius Nyerere is considered a very, very good leader here in East Africa because of his socialism deeds, whatever he was doing in Tanzania, and how he even wanted to influence it on Uganda. Remember his politics with Obote. And he did that. If you read history, you see how he was even willing to wait for independence of Tanzania so that Tanzania, Kenya, and Uganda can get independence around the same time. Then he brings his policies of socialism, Ujama, like he fights and does that thing for 20 years. When Julius Nyerere lives in 1985, then Mwinyi comes in. He reversed each and everything that the guy had done, because Nyerere had nationalized all companies, everything. The guy came in, he started prioritizing everything. So, and when the guy was even here, because Nyerere died in what was it, 95 or 96, around there. He lives 85. When this guy comes in, he reverses everything that Nyerere was doing. He now goes to capitalism. But Nyerere had done his part, and up to now, he's still considered a great leader. But his dream could not even be realized the time when he was there. Right now in sports, we have people that will praise. Ronaldo is about to score 1,000 goals, and some people call him the greatest of all time. But football is 200 years ago. Before football, because if human beings have been here for long, there have been sports that have been played, that have been the sports that who have been playing so many years ago. But now, if you're to look who are the goats by then, people have forgotten about them. Not only
Yeah.
in football. Yes, people have forgotten about them. Now we are seeing Ronaldo is a goat. I don't know how many years from here, Ronaldo will be forgotten, even with his records all broken, or even if they are still there, Ronaldo will be forgotten, and we'll have another one. Probably we'll have another sport or another legacy. But Ronaldo has done his part, and his period that he has done it, yes, he has served it, and maybe we can call him the God. But that will move. So me, I think that we don't have the gods who are going to last for forever. We have people that come, even the greatest, the kings. When you're reading history, you hear what they talk about Alexander the Great. But if someone didn't study proper history, you find that someone doesn't know Alexander the Great. But by that time, people were even worshiping him, thinking that he was a god. So, me, I think that the time that we're here, that short time, maybe 100 years that God has given you, is what you have to do, and you move with your things. Me, I think on this call, man, I want to be consistent. When you're dead, you die with your things. New things come, and whatever you did, whatever you do,
You agree with Mike Tyson?
Yes, Mike Tyson.
Yes, you agree.
No,
Because that's
Mike
what he said.
Tyson.
That's what he said. I don't know whether you watched the clip. Did you watch the clip?
Yes.
You agree with the man?
Yes, he did his part, and by me was young, I didn't really follow up Mike Tyson, but I have a workmate who told me there's a time Mike Tyson would finish fights in 2 minutes. People are just entering, Nga they see
Yes.
an ambulance taking out the opponent. Nga Mike Tyson has finished him. So his part finished, and now it is. And when he goes, people will forget about him. That is the sad reality. So we don't have to struggle, Simanyi, do what, and think that we're going to leave anything very substantial behind. We just have to play our part to die, and other people come and take on the stage. That's my thinking.
Thank you. Brenda, that's where you come in. Brenda, your
Yeah.
hand. Good.
Okay. Yeah. Um. Uh. For me, I will disagree with Bedson. Legacy is very important, and it continues on. It does not have to stay on for 1,000 or thousands of years, but it continues on. It might even wear a different face. Uh, that is to say, through your students, it wears a different face, and then other people get inspired by those students. But when you were the original inspiration, so it can wear a different face as generations come and pass, but it's still a legacy. It is still ingrained in the DNA at least. For me, legacy, uh, because effort was some Francis mentioned effort. I believe that legacy should be majorly ingrained in being an individual, the qualities that you possess as an individual, you're living as a person. So when you find yourself, and then you start expressing yourself, to the people with the way you're living, people watch you, and then people get inspired, and then they start to pick up those character traits, and then they also embrace them and start to live them, and they also inspire other people. I believe legacy may be bothersome sometimes, because it requires sacrifices for you to become yourself, for you to do the things that you're supposed to do. You have to go through fire. For instance, if you want to build your body, you have to carry heavy stuff. You have to to take a season while doing that particular thing over and over and over and over again. You might even get bored, but as long as you love that thing and you want to become that thing, you do not get bored. You embrace the boredom, you embrace the hardship, you embrace everything. And then because you embrace this thing, you start to convince the earth that indeed this thing is worthy and it is possible. And then people start to get inspired, and then you leave a legacy. My mom told me a story one time when she was telling me about the importance of unity and the desire and love for peace. So she told me about a certain chairman. She told me there is a chairman who died, and everyone felt so bad, because when that chairman, there were two chairmans in the village. So one of them, he was a drunkard, but he was the kind of man who enjoyed unity so much that whenever people brought problems to him, he would ensure that it all ends in them uniting, and there will be peace reigning. So a lot of people, instead of becoming enemies, they started to have a united front, and there was peace in the village and among the people, because there was a chairman who loved peace, and he always ensured that when a conflict is brought, he must make sure that it always ends in peace. So when he died, everyone was very, very sad. And my mom was like, we were all very sad, because that man loved peace, and he always ensured that everyone was living in peace, regardless of whether he was a drunkard, regardless of whether regardless of whether he did not excel in certain things he should have excelled in. We were all very, very happy, because he always ensured that there is unity among us. So that man died, but I did not even know him, but his story lives on in me. And every time I think about unity, he can cross my mind, and I'm like, this man, even me, I should, pursue unity. That's my submission.
Thank you, Brenda. God bless you. Now, Dr. Mukwana, are you there? Because
Yes,
I
I'm
would like,
here.
yes,
Uh,
I want I want to go back to the question of Francis. Now that we have exhausted the good, Francis wanted to know, then how much goods should one leave behind? Francis, isn't that your final question?
Yes, that's my final question. The final question is, what should you intentionally leave behind?
Yes, in terms of goods.
Yeah.
Good. That's why I need you, doctor.
Okay, thank you. When you bring in intention, then it might hinder you from living your full life. If you must purpose.
Maybe it's including the will. How we write our will. What informs you in writing your will based on what you have, etc. And yeah.
Yeah, but because what I think is the best legacy you can leave behind is educating your children. If you've given your children education, what better legacy do they need?
That is the number one intention. What
Yeah.
what other intention?
So whatever remains after that, it's okay. There shouldn't be any fixed amount of property or cash that you need to leave, honestly. That will reduce your life to more of a laborer and a slave.
Doctor, are you telling the parents here to educate their children and then eat their money?
Yes, educate your children and live on the rest. When you die and there is some little balance, they can share. But you shouldn't work with this intention that I should leave probably a hotel for so and so, then a farm for this and the other. If they come, that is good, but it shouldn't be part of the intention, in my opinion.
Okay. You
And
should not have
by education, does he mean degrees and these things?
you should not have a goal of leaving behind farms, etc. Okay.
Pastor.
Yes.
Yes, please.
Hello. If I may, the reason why I asked that last question, I discovered that the original meaning of the word legacy were the material possessions left behind by an individual. That was the original meaning. These are everything we've discussed. Most of the things we've discussed is the secondary meaning to the word legacy. So,
Francis,
thank you. Yeah,
Francis, that's why the doctor has told you that even with that original meaning of the materialism, there is no standard amount of the materials that you should leave.
And
educate your children and eat your money.
And eat your money.
Because, yeah, probably if we look at the origin of it, there was no education. Because right now, education is an investment. If you educate your child, you'd have given them hotels and banks and farms and everything in that education. So there's nothing more. If you've really worked hard and taken your children through school, they have graduated, let them look for their livelihood. And by the way, life is more meaningful when people fend for themselves.
You are being narcissistic.
No, I'm realistic. Now, I want to give you an example. There is a family in Tanzania, in Dar es Salaam. I've just been connected to it recently. The man died and left a lot, but the children cannot even manage. He had agreement with the government to extract tanzanite, gold, a diamond, but the children are just there. They have houses.
They don't know what to do.
To drink. They even don't know what to do. Other people are now the one taking over most of the things. The father had a company in Tanzania and China. They have, you can, sometimes life is more meaningful when you work for yourself, and we are created to work.
Yeah, but sir,
Bob, you have a tendency of just jumping in. So we don't know when you jump in what you're going to tell us. You'll wait for the other moderator. This one is a different one. And where I want you to come in, I want you to come in from the point of Musa's definition. if materialism in the term in under the context of legacy is a gift, do we, and by we I mean parents, do parents have an obligation to leave the gift behind? Or whether they leave the gift behind, aka materialism, or not, it doesn't matter. Bob, that's where I want you to come in.
Yeah, and I wanted to really, sorry, you cut me the other side, but this thing we call educate your children, it also has a lot of connotations. So anyway, but to respond to your thing, I think it's okay if someone is able to leave a good will or a good, you know, inheritance for their kids. But in the end, the kids also have to find their own calling, because we know that life is not about accumulating a lot of wealth. That is okay. But for you to find many, I mean, what I've observed is that I'm so busy trying to work for a living, okay? That sometimes I end up saying okay. Now, because of that struggle to try and find daily bread, I end up not focusing on what my true calling is.
Yes.
If I'm rich and I leave my kids a legacy of wealth, and they don't have to worry about money, can they now search themselves and find their own calling, where they are not worried about making the daily bread, and they concentrate their energy on making a contribution to make the world a better place?
Bob, Dr.
Angie?
Mukwana has told you that when you leave too much bread, the children will just focus on the bread and lose themselves in the bread.
Auntie Kakati,
And that's where Francis is asking, how much bread should we leave behind? And by bread we mean the legacy, the material legacy.
Yeah, I still say I will not put a caveat on that. If you're able to leave something for your kids to live on without worrying, but are you able to teach your kids what the values of life is? Okay, I don't know whether what the values of life, and I don't think it's necessarily education, because we define education as people going and getting university degrees and all. But you look at the value of these degrees, the people have actually not gotten an education. They have
that is academics.
Yes, they've just known academics, but you can actually teach the value of the other values to your kids without them necessarily going to study and get degrees. You. Oh my God. Sorry, there's noise here. Some people are passing by.
Okay.
But there's a person who pays fees, takes the kid to school, and after all, I'm paying fees, I'm educating these kids. But life is beyond education. Life is beyond that degree. We've seen people who have graduated with degrees, with PhDs, and they are drinking themselves silly. We've seen professors with the best degrees ever. You know, did they miss something? So what is the value of their degree? So there's more to it. I don't know whether you get my perspective, which I'm trying to bring in.
Sure. I do get your perspective, but I don't want to let you go. Before you help us, Bob, stay on. Before you go, I want you to help us before you go. Whether educated or not, whether the values have been passed on or not, how much in terms of materialism should we leave behind? That was the direct question.
I think whichever you can leave behind, but it's not something that should drain you, that you have a target. I think God can call you home even when you have just maybe build a house for yourself, or if you're able to some people are able to even buy to build houses for their kids, or to build to give long-lasting shares in companies, and their kids don't, and their grandkids don't. This is what the Bible teaches us, that you leave a legacy to your kids, if you can. But what I'm saying, this should not drain you. Whatever you're able to live, you live. But what is important is are these kids able to live responsible lives when you're gone? Otherwise, they will, whether you leave them nothing, they can be wasted. Whether you leave them a lot, they can be wasted.
Brilliant. I got your answer. Whatever you leave behind, whatever you leave behind. Now, before Peter and Francis come in, Musaz, how much money should you leave on your account before you die? In the event that you have like 100 million shillings on your account, would you want to die and leave it on your account for your children? Or would you even want your children to know about that account?
That's a difficult question to answer, but I will try to answer it. Whatever there is in my bank account, my wife knows. So if I died tomorrow, she gets hold of the money in the bank account. If it's, let's say, 100,000, she takes that. If it's 100 million shillings, as you said, that's what she's going to take. It's the way it is because there is nothing hidden in my will. So my family can have access to my finances once I am gone. So to answer the question, if the money is there, they're going to take it. If it's not there, they are going to inherit whatever I put down in my will.
Okay.
That's how I can answer the question.
Thank you. They will take whatever. Francis and then Peter will come in. I don't know where Peter has been, but he was traveling. I hope now he has settled home. But Francis, since you are the man of the day, please come in, and then Peter will come. Tom, you're welcome.
Thank you very much. Now, I think I've gotten an answer to something which has been bothering me. As a different attempt to the question, especially the last one where going in circles around the question, I picked something which I want to share with you. When I was in my 30s, I tried to prepare to build houses actually for my children. And I sat down with my wife. I told them, okay, my firstborn, I'm building house A, house B, and house C. Then my secondborn, things like that. And I know these houses are going to bring them so much money. Even if I'm gone, every month they will be sorted. Then when I made 39, I stopped chasing after lots of things, and I started concentrating on myself. And I stopped thinking much about accumulating passive income sources for my children and making them ready for life. So I started teaching them my craft, and I started looking for areas where they are good at and trying to develop their craft themselves so that they can enjoy life. I try to teach them how to enjoy life, how to socialize, how to live with people, how to develop their strength, how to live a peaceful life, how to many of those things. And I'm trying to do that now. But Bob answered. Bob, I think, drove the point home for me when he said that we should, because many of us spend a lot of time the time we have on this earth trying to chase after life, trying to make ends meet, that we don't concentrate on our calling. Now, to me, Bob drove the point home by giving me the answer that I should do what I can to make sure that in as much as I'm teaching my children how to enjoy their lives, or I should also give them as much resources as would help them to concentrate on their calling instead of chasing after life.
As persons.
Thank you. Yeah, as individuals. Yes.
Thank you. Professor Serwide, are you there?
I think Mr. Kabinuli has said what I wanted to say. Thank you very much.
You saved us time, big time. Thank you. Thank you for being responsible. Now, Ariong, you are welcome.
Thank you.
Good. Your hand is up.
Yes. what do we mean when we say we should leave our children inheritance?
Pedson, switch on your microphone, Pedson.
How sure are we that what we call inheritance is what our children desire, and they can live on that? I have personally seen families where a person has died and left a lot of wealth, but one or two of his children have hoarded the wealth to themselves and caused problems. Me personally, I think it is very unfair to me to begin working in order to leave inheritance for my children, and I stop living my own life. I think I would prefer that I pass away or die and leave my children nothing material, but all that is required as in terms of information, knowledge, and maybe contacts to live life. Because the issue of inheritance is what has caused many people all over the world to amass wealth that they don't really need to live on, and cause poverty all over. Look at a case.
Ariong, when you take it to inheritance, you are biasing it to the beneficiaries. For us, we are talking about the legacy. For us, we are talking about the legacy that a parent should leave behind. Of course, later, after your demise, it is called inheritance. But once you call it inheritance, it will take us to another thing. But we want you to look at it from the perspective of the one who is living and the one who is dying. Shouldn't you leave something behind for your children? And if not, what are you working for?
Hey, Isaiah.
Yes. Pedson come in, and then Ariong is going to come back.
I want to come in on that. About 4 months ago, there's a story in the news where one of the grandsons of Sabbath-day was being chased from his house by his uncle. I hope you guys remember. And want to draw that lesson from what we're discussing today. Sabbath worked very hard for his children and his grandchildren, to the extent that when the man was about to die, he was even battling a court case of a certain property. But he had to come and make sure that he leaves his people in good hands by ensuring that whatever he worked for, they will have it in their names. And just Sabbath died when? Wasn't it around COVID time? Yes, but just 3 years before even the man properly wrote, they are chasing the people that he worked for from the house.
The grandchild does not have what to eat.
Yes,
And
yes.
he's being chased from the property of his his judge.
Yes, and yet his judge worked for him, so that because you see, you if you come with a cannula, and not a cannula, he came on drip.
Yes, he was on drip.
Yeah, in court. It means that you're not. It means that you're even not working for your children. You're working for your great. But anyway, you guys all remember that case now.
So do you agree with Tom that we should leave nothing behind, because Tom is more brutal?
And now you see, leaving something and leaving nothing behind. We want to analyze where the difference is, because we have Savannah who worked for his children, but then they actually and left much, but then they are suffering 3 years down the road. And actually, I wanted to bring it me after Stella's case. I had an argument with someone. We went to the in you see those companies in the US listed on the stock market. The top companies are called standard S&P top 100. Now we went analyzing. Of course, now the ones that are on top, these Amazons, the Tesla, those ones are new companies. their owners are still alive, went and started looking at the companies that have been there for more than 100 years. And all the companies, I think it was only Ford where the family is still in the business. In the chairman of Ford is from the Ford family, and I think they have close to 4% of the company. But the rest of the companies, JP Morgan would trace somehow the family will be properly cut off. They are not in the management, not even with any shareholding in those companies. So really, the legacy is something you just do your work. Like Sebana should have done his work. You eat your
And
money,
left.
and you go. Because you see, when you're done, things change. If JP Morgan wakes up and finds that none of his family has even a penny in the company that he created, you know, you'll be, or if Sebana just resurrects now and he finds what is happening to his grandchild, would you think he would actually think?
Exactly.
Thank you.
Ariong, your
Yeah.
background is still the same. Yeah, please continue.
Yeah. What is legacy about? Is it not about the dead continuing to live on even when they are dead?
Yeah, through what
Why,
they
why shouldn't the dead rest and let the living live their lives without the dead interfering?
because some living have benefited from the dead. So the dead
How
left
have they
something.
benefited? And how
They
many are
left
those who
us
have benefited?
when you die and you leave us, your children, you leave us your house. Then we have benefited.
Because as you talk of legacy, you are also talking of inheritance.
Okay,
now, when
fine.
you talk of inheritance, you must answer the question of how much.
Yes, that's what we're asking. You want to answer that question? How much should you leave?
That answer has caused a lot of problems and greed.
Okay.
So I would prefer I let my children live their life like they should live. I don't have to interfere with their living since I'm dead.
But by you leaving them nothing, you have already interfered by their immortality.
You cannot say I'm leaving them nothing when I've left them with my DNA.
I need Ed to come and help me. Exactly knows how to deal with such men. Okay, so Ariong thinks that you people, you should not even waste your time with how much goods you are going to leave behind. You just die. That is what they share in common with Pedson. They say you die, you live your life and die. Yes, Bob.
I just wanted to give you an example of I was listening to this guy, Steve Harvey. I don't know whether you guys know him.
Yes, I know him.
He's a talk show, he's a millionaire and all that, but he made this statement. He said his intention is that all his money belongs to him and his wife. Okay? His kids are not getting even a coin.
Okay.
And
I have lost you, Bob. Am I alone? I have lost Bob. Bob?
I'm
Bob,
here.
Bob, we've lost you.
hello?
Yes, we had lost you, Bob. Are you back?
Hey, yeah, I'm back. Can you hear me? Maybe I was in a lift.
Hear you now.
Yeah, so this is what he said. He said he had
Okay, maybe someone is calling him again and again. So, all right. Bob will come and tell us about the story of Steve Harvey when his network is all right and etc. Abby, do you want to tell us what you think after all that has been said in a sentence?
Oh. Okay.
Bob, you're back, Bob.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. You can tell us about the story of Steve Harvey and
Yes. So he said that he had pushed his kids into the passions of their life, educated them, supported them in their businesses, and he thinks they are set to manage things on their own businesses. So he said all the money he has amassed, he's going to leave to is for him and his wife, and maybe he will donate a lot to charities.
So
but
he agrees
but the big lesson he had done is that playing a role in ensuring that the kids were successful in their own field. And this meant that he used his own resources to fund that. If a kid came and told him, I want to build a cinema, I'm interested in cinema work, he would say, okay, how much capital do you need to start that? And he would give him that, and let him manage that, his own affairs. So I just wanted to bring that perspective, that as a parent, even if you don't leave a legacy, but you still have a role to empowering your kids to success, guide them, use your resources to build them something they are interested in or their field, and let them manage on their own while you are not there.
Okay, fine. I guess that is what Dr. Mukwan actually had told us, that you just educate your children and then you die and eat your money. Educate your children, eat your money. And by educating, we mean support them, support their careers, make them they are on their, make sure they are standing on their feet, and then eat your money. Eat your money. Don't just collect things to live here, things that are going to make people fight after you are dead. So educate your dear parents who are listening to us. Educate your children, and by education we mean support them, help them discover themselves. After they have discovered themselves, eat your money. Yes, doctor.
Thank you, Chair. One of the challenges I have with the human beings that they give birth to human beings and they think those human beings don't think. A parent is so obsessed with the success of their children, not knowing that with that obsession, in fact, is a hindrance to the children's success. God created every human being different and distinct. In fact, capable of succeeding even more than you. When you're obsessed with, I should leave my children with something, I should empower my children, you're denying them to explore their potential. The best thing you can do is to help the children when they are still young, understand who they are, what are their dreams, and you support their dreams. Not that because I'm a lecturer, then my child must become a lecturer. I've seen this thing in some universities where somebody gazettes a position for a child who is in secondary. This is for my child. That you think you're helping them, but inadvertently, you are destroying them. Everyone is capable of succeeding in any area of their interest, whether it is science or arts, whether it is in the vocations or in the academia. That's why I say that give your child your education. Muyanga talked about education having a lot of connotations. Once you want to give them your education, again, that is a hindrance. Children have the power, they have the ability to achieve according to what is God-given in them. So I still conclude by saying, give your child education, allow them to explore, live your life with your wife. Make your wife happy. Some people have not even given their wives a happy life because they are busy getting loans to acquire farms and acquire things for their children. And then
I
they
think
die
next week
miserably.
we should talk about how to make your wife happy.
I beg your pardon?
I think next week we should talk about how to make your wife happy.
Okay. Okay, but Chair, yeah, that was my submission, really.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Brilliant. Any person who wants to say something? Peter, Professor Peter, why are you silent in these matters? What is happening in your world? Did your father leave you a legacy? He has not left.
Mzumba. Yeah, yes, Mr. Wamala gave me, there are three things that Mr. Wamala is still alive. Mr. Wamala is my birth father. is still living, and so far, even before leaving, Leaving, he left me. So far left me three things. Number one, three values, three major values. Number one was work. Number two was God, according to the revelation he had, and then number three was education.
So you are good. You are good with him.
Yeah, he has land. I think we have something like 30 acres of land. He has never mentioned anything. He has never mentioned anything about it.
In regards to you getting a piece.
Even every time we talk about either God, work, and education, matters of education. Only that. He never mentions anything. Simai kwate taka jango zimbe wano. Simai jango tekewe mwenye. So, what are you doing? What are you working on? Is the PhD done? And then we talk about salvation. Is it by works or by grace? Those are the three areas that we talk about, and that's all. I think he has bequeathed a great work, or rather, a great legacy in that angle. Probably I'll get to know thereafter.
So, Professor, would you say that someone would actually have a legacy while living? Should we say in this meeting that some people are coexisting with their legacy?
I like to think so. I really like to think so. That, well, for example, Pastor White, if I can use this opportunity to speak straight to your heart, that you showed me Christ, and if I can say it right now, I don't think you ever give me anything greater than what you have given. I think even friends can leave legacy to friends, or people we meet can leave us legacy even before their departure.
Exactly. So legacy is not always after you're gone.
Exactly.
You can have a legacy and while living with
definitely, and people should celebrate people's legacy. Sigamba tulete kimuli ku ntana ya Isaiah nga kagali tetumuguliranga benzi ngali kagali. So we need to to speak straight to these guys and say, you have been my friend. You've worked well. Kabinuli, you have spoken into my finances. Something like that, and we move people when they are still here.
All right. Francis wants to say something.
What I'm saying, I also picked something from my father, actually, which I'm practicing, and of course I'm going to edit my my legacy issues with a few things I've learned today. But my dad believed in being in the first place, the second place, and the other people in the third, fourth, and other places. So his belief was that you should always put yourself first.
Okay.
And you should enjoy life. So I learned, his legacy to me is I learned to live life. And I spend a good chunk of my income on myself. Actually, the biggest percentage of my income is spent on Lugolobi Francis Kabinuli.
Who is
period.
You?
Who is me? And then two, he told me that whatever you plan to leave to your dependents, give it to them while you are still alive, so that when you are gone, you lessen conflict amongst them.
Okay.
So what my dad did when he was still alive, he got off all the resources he needed to live a good life in the first place. Then whatever he didn't need, he gave it to each kid who would get to the age of about 25. He would give you his inheritance. And I remember when he died, on his during the second funeral rites, they are reading the will, and the statement in the will said, the statement about his wealth said that whoever I was meant to give anything, any material thing, I gave it to him or her when I was still alive. That was his statement. So my father never gave out anything in his will. He gave us whatever he was supposed to give us, which he said there are two things which he gave us: education and land. He gave each of his 21 kids education and land. And he gave it to us when we are still young, in our 20s, the land.
good.
So I picked that also, that we shouldn't leave a lot of wealth in our will. Okay, that surplus wealth, we shouldn't leave it in our will. You should start distributing it to people we love, our friends. Actually, for me, I started a few years back. I even have some friends I gave some properties when I'm still alive. I gave them properties because I don't want them to conflict with my family when I'm dead. That I gave someone a studio apartment because I don't want them to conflict with my family when I'm dead.
Yeah.
So let's give things to people when let's leave our let our legacies start when we're still alive, and let's give people things to especially material things to them when you're still alive, to avoid conflict. Thank you.
Yeah, I am the only person in who will be in Francis' will and Peterson's will, because they just decided to put me in their will. So and thank you. I thank you very much. Now, Musazi, do you have something to say as we wind up?
Yes, very briefly. It's my surprise that as you believers, you are not talking about the fact that your children, your wives are going to meet you and you can ask them how they shared things you left behind. Death is not the end for believers. So I do think that once you die, you go to the kingdom of God, but there is the possibility of you being joined by the people you left behind. So I am joking, of course. This
No,
is
no, no,
what
no, no. No, even that joke is very interesting, by the way, and very, very relative to this, what we are
yeah.
saying.
So I was surprised that nobody really seemed to be cognizant of the fact that death is not the end for believers, and there is the possibility of reuniting and asking, hey, when I left you with this property, how did things go? We had a booming business in a real estate. Did you manage things well and that kind of thing? Thank you very much.
Now, Musazi, let me take the honor to inform you that the company of Christians that you are among are a different species. First of all, we the Christians, not these other religious people that you've met around, do know that in the resurrection there is no marriage. That's number one. So, and we do not even teach that we are going to have the same settings of marriages in the new world like we have here. We are not sure about that. So that is why we didn't mention about that. Then secondly, like someone earlier on mentioned, that our legacy is that man or that God man known as Jesus Christ. So all this materialism, etc., we just follow the trend of Ariong and Peterson, who say that you just live and die. As long as you have been a very good steward, you have taken care of your children, you have raised them in the fear of God, you have educated them, you have helped them to discover themselves and their purpose, just live and die, enjoy life. So we are not these kinds of Christians who are going to transfer their problems to the new world. No, we are not that. We are going into a new world where everything is new, not just reformed. I hope I represented you, fellow Christians. But Musazi, thank you.
Thank you,
All right.
Very
sir.
well.
I've taken note of that very well.
Okay, sure.
Very
And thank
well.
you for
Very well.
good. Thank you everyone for being here today. Our moderator had some issues, but he's all right. He will be with us next Thursday. We want to thank everyone. For those who kept time, thank you for keeping time, like Francis. And Nicholas, Dr. Nicholas, thank you very much for keeping time. And Peter, actually, Peter was the first person here on this call. Thank you so much. May God bless you. We still believe that there is only one God who is the origin of everything good. And we know that he will always help us in whatever we are going through. So we pray that the God that we worship and the wisdom that he has given you will keep you safe until we meet the next time.
Amen.
Bye.
Good night.
Thank you, moderator.
Bye. God bless.
Amen.
Bye. Bye.
Good night and bye.
Good night. Thank you for leading us.
All right. Blessing everyone.